Thank you, Margaret. Those half those things I didn't know about me. You've certainly done that research. Thank you, and thank you all for Colin, Margaret, Deanna for inviting me to Tree. It's a wonderful reading series, and Brick are again just a inspiring publisher. And thank you to my poetry comrades, Carolyn and Naomi. I was here before with Tree, and I had a wonderful experience. I was reading from A Walker in the City, which had just come out. So as a way of closing the circle, I thought I'd read a poem from A Walker in the City. The interesting thing, listening to Naomi, is that there are characters in A Walker as well. And I had such fun creating characters and writing, giving them poetry to say. So the poem I'm going to read comes from the mouth of an older poet who feels, who's curmudgeonly and cranky because he feels like he's come to the end of his craft. And this is a love poem to another walker. Girl walking. Ah, you, bright you, breaking day open like a dry loaf, and setting off through the billowing sky that wafts across your mind. Like shantung curtains, girl, you have cured my mournfulness, the way you bounce through the rubber museum of all my enterprise. For example, your lips are worn thin from too many insincere kisses, and yet they are still your lips, unmistakable. But for all that, girl, yes, you have brightened my blue period and what has been slammed most recently shut. Ah, you, bright you, with your unlatched laughter and love contagious as yawning, you are why all my locks tumble, and what springs open this weary heart of mine. So I had given these characters voice in Walker in the City and enjoyed it so much that I thought that I would write a book of dramatic monologues in which I gave different characters words. So the problem, though, is that it was such fun writing words for different characters from myth and fairy tales and history. But then when it came time to read them, since I'm not, a performer, it's very difficult to. It feels like for example, this one's called The Devil's Advocate, and you're going to have to imagine me sort of taller and more muscular and possibly with testicles. My lords and ladies, gentlemen of the jury, when you hear hoofbeats, assume horses, not zebras. This is true in almost all parts of the world, except the African savannah, where it is safer to assume zebras. Also eland, giraffes, herds of this and that. In India, assume cows. In Spain, bulls, matadors with their sun-blurred hooves. In Tuscany, angels. In kingdom calm, horses again, pale quartets of wish you were here. My client sends his regrets. He is busy, falling through blank verse for all eternity, while a mere afternoon passes its shadow over us. The sun moves from one window of the courthouse to the next, and then it's tea time. One sugar or two, perhaps a bun, stretch and yawn, and back we go. I submit for your perusal Exhibit A. This is a map of the world, of God and of everything. Above is heaven, below is hell. The future is to the right, the past to the left. My client, in his plea for mercy, wishes me to recall his salient points. His sense of humor, direction, and yes, style. His tendency to violent foreshortenings, and that finding himself irredeemably zebra, he hoofed the streets of his brawling, captious self, kicking up dust and all the limping platitudes of this earth, our home. They tell you dreams don't come true. but they never tell you how. Thank you. I wrote a section called the Hunger Artists, and it takes the story of Hansel and Gretel as its form, and then the poems come from the voices of mother and father, Hansel, Gretel, and also Jacob Grimm, who transcribed the story. So I thought I'd read the Hansel and Gretel section for you. The poems are alternate between Gretel and Hansel, so each stanza is a different child. And I don't want to keep reading Gretel and Hansel, so if you could perhaps imagine that for me, and every now and then I'll jog your memory. The section is called Little Children, and it begins with Gretel. The days ring with frost, the days arranged like a table setting of thin-stemmed wine glasses, each one filled to a different level. We run up and down the length of days, ringing at their rims till they sing. Streetlights hum the darkness along the long nursery highway. Then the geese fly away, folding the sky into arrows and paper aeroplanes and winter. Once there was method in my madness. Now only method. My mother's breath smells of acetone. It peels the paint off us, and yes, it chills to the bone, as cold as a lost key left in a parked car, dead of winter. Get into the car, little children. In the middle of the night, a forest sprang up. Get into the car, says my mother. The forest changes gears, grating. The forest makes a sound like the whir of wind-up bears in old stories. Inside the books it is snowing. The snow falls all night, and in the morning our childhood is over. A turned page. The forest turns over like a snow globe and hangs there. Suddenly the car drops down on all fours and will go no farther. Arrival is neither here nor there, mother says, searching for her key. But her key is in the last lost pocket of the world's overcoat, and tonight the forest is ajar. This is a list by Gretel. Here is a list of interesting things to salt. A bucket of snails for foam, the dying flames of a fire for blue, an open wound for pain, the ground, mother, after you. Some rules for getting out alive. Don't play tug-of-war with a tree. Don't bet against the house always wins in the end. And never lick a gingerbread house on a cold morning. The birds eat the salt and sicken. The birds are preserved from the inside out, learn their lesson and never look back. Meanwhile, in another part of the forest there is a cage, an appetite, a hunger, brought together in perfect accord. Oh, my sister, my chimera, you are my real, true, long-legged thing, my psychosomatic joy, my gone-again pain, my nerves strummed to sinew. Nobody believes you like I do, though I rub salt on all your shortcuts home. Even the storks know you can't go home again, or even once. They have lost all sense of decorum. Now they teeter about on stilts, setting their toy fires in all the wrong chimneys. Oh, my brother, my beloved terror, sing, sing your gold-skinned psalms. This is how the story ends. There is no witch, no oven, no wild mother stalking her hunger through the forest. No sister tossing the bones, tithing her little store of jealousy and grief. Hunger fights appetite to the death. My brother is locked in the old iron forest. All night he calls for me to bring my keys. This is how the story ends. I carry him on my back, in my heart. He enters my bloodstream, a virus raging. On quiet afternoons, half dreaming, in the thick grass, I watch my sister running barefoot through the high blue fields. She is searching for me, or for what has become of me. The breakup, the runoff, the bloom. What I realized when I was writing these poems is that, or rather at the copy editing stage, is that although they are they're monologues from characters that I was interested in through my reading and my idiosyncratic reading of fairy tales and myth and history, but when I came to reread them and copy edit them with more detachment, I realized they were really about family and family relationships and siblings. And this last poem is about it's about a marriage. I've always loved Virginia Woolf, and when I came across this phrase in one of her letters, I was inspired. She writes this to Ethel Smith in October 1930. I shall never forget the day I wrote the mark on the wall, all in a flash, as if flying after being kept stone-breaking for months. And then Leonard came in, and I drank my milk and concealed my excitement. So I was fascinated by that idea of creativity and the need for privacy, to protect your creativity, even from a husband that, seems quite lovely. So these are the marriage sonnets, and they alternate between Leonard and Virginia. Leonard. First we buried you, and then we dug you up again. This was not the first time it had happened, or even the second. The third time was a charm. We thought you might stay dead, you blue hieroglyph in the frozen earth. You bruise. You, wearing your death skin so lightly, like a fur coat. The trees ran behind you, slipping in the rain. They were playing a game called statues. Every time you looked back, they froze into children, or the idea of children. They were not your children. They were the mortal boys and unkissed girls of life's longing for its other skin. Your knack, lady, was for sufficiency. You never looked forward. You never looked back. Virginia. Begin in pain, in grit and strain. Salt. Pearls irregular on the tongue we are, pearls forlorn, pearls unworn we are. Our lustre dimmed, damned, dulled, we die. Speak for yourself, O string of pearls, the swine before which I cast myself. Little white stitches around the neck hold me together. Some days arpeggio, they rise, they rise. Hello, gravity, why don't you put up your feet, old stone? To rise above the house, snagging my sins, running along rooftops and hurling down chimney pots. The children fly up in sparks, burn out, burn down to ash, then try, dead things, to crawl into my lap. Pour me a glass of wine, dear Leonard, there's a chap. Leonard. Oh, stonebreaker, you, down in your quarry all morning, your skin screeching like chalkboard at the tip of a fingernail. Each word breaks in two, all you do is tap it with your terror. Days pour themselves into wrong-shaped spaces, but you put them to your lips, brave girl, and drink. And every morning you smile your 3 smiles. The first is snow needle, the second salt flinch, the last what is left over and over again. Grinning wears you thin, all the pretty ones pressed inside their lockets. But you, You wanted to be a real girl with stones inside your pockets. Virginia. Dip the comb in water, dear, then pull it through my hair. Remember, these are thoughts you're parting, brook, no imprecision there. One day from the street you saw the hem of my dress flying from the window. You saw the sun shining through my lids. Those were pearls that were my lies. Pour me a glass of milk, dear, there's a chap. All day the hours fly up, like cinders from a cold fire. Oh, boulevard dear, standing there with the street snapping at your heels. Death and life rattle about in me like a pair of dice, coming up snake's eyes or devil's cup, or better get going, girl, or sorry, time's up. Thank you.